When Anakin betrayed Mace Windu and helped Sidious throw him out the Chancellor's office window, he cemented his shift to Darth Vader and the dark side. However, Anakin was always Darth Vader, even before the events of Revenge of the Sith. It all started with how Anakin was born. Around 42 BBY, Darth Plagueis and his apprentice Darth Sidious were able to shift the Force and tip it toward the dark side. By manipulating the midichlorians, Plagueis was able to gain the power over life and death, resurrecting individuals like Bith Darth Venamus with just the power of the Force. Deciding to expand his power, Plagueis tried to manipulate the midichlorians across the galaxy. However, the Force didn't like the direction Plagueis was going and resisted his attempts, ultimately refusing his advances. This led to the midichlorians acting on their own behalf and conceived a child within Shmi Skywalker. This child was Anakin, and his chance creation was a product of the destiny he was given from his birth by the Force. He was born to destroy the light and dark side of the Force, which would reset the balance that was disturbed by Plagueis and Sidious's manipulations. Early on, Anakin shows his dabblings in both the light and dark side of the Force in simple actions. He had the ability to be lighthearted and caring to new strangers like Qui-Gon Jinn and Padme, but showed great fear in losing his mother. In fact, when Yoda first meets Anakin, he senses this within the young Skywalker and openly warns him that fear is the path to the dark side. However, the fear present was not enough of a deterrent for Yoda and Mace Windu, who allowed Anakin to be trained as a Padawan under Obi-Wan Kenobi. But during his early training, Anakin began to have dreams about losing his loved ones. These dreams actually turned out to be him seeing the future, which is a rare Force ability that very few are able to tap into. His constant fear and compounding dreams eventually brought Anakin to a tipping point when he saw his mother die. In a desperate attempt to save his mother, Anakin travels back to Tatooine and finds that his mother had been taken by a group of Tusken Raiders. Eventually, Shmi succumbs to the injuries she sustained, and Anakin loses all control. In a fit of unbridled rage, Anakin kills the entire camp of Raiders, including the women and the children, and this was the first time that Vader's presence was made known to Anakin. To emphasize this point further, George Lucas actually plays Darth Vader's theme in the background while Anakin confesses the killings to Padme. This event shook Anakin to his core, and he found himself falling in line with the Jedi Council, but the gap between Anakin and Vader continued to close in on each other. During the Clone Wars and after the Second Battle of Geonosis, the Geonosian leader Poggle the Lesser was successfully captured by the Jedi. Poggle had information on the Separatist army that was critical to the Republic, but he refused to cooperate. During a distraction, Anakin found himself alone in the room with Poggle, and the rage he felt early on came to the surface. Anakin began to force choke and beat the information out of Poggle until he finally gave in. Anakin returned the information to the Council, but was quiet about his use of a force choke, which was seen mostly by Sith Lords and individuals of the dark side. But that doesn't compare to the outright killing that Anakin did right in front of Obi-Wan. Months after the events of Geonosis, Obi-Wan and Anakin were protecting Satine Kryze when she was taken by Tal Merrik in an attempt to dethrone her as the Duchess of Mandalore. Just before Merrik got Satine on his escape ship, he tauntingly asked who would strike first and brand themselves a cold-blooded killer. It was Anakin's lightsaber that struck Merrik down first with almost no hesitation. In fact, Obi-Wan was completely stunned at Anakin's decision altogether. His lack of remorse in that moment showed that Vader was almost there, but it was during Anakin's encounter with the Son that Darth Vader would show himself fully for the first time. The Son was a Force wielder who lived on the ethereal realm of Mortis with the father and the daughter. The family had a unique connection to the Force, where the Son was the embodiment of the dark side of the Force, the daughter was the light, and the father was the balance between the two. Seeing Anakin as the chosen one, the father lured Anakin to Mortis in an attempt to have him become the balancing force between the son and the daughter. But the son had other plans and saw Anakin as a way to break away from Mortis and take over the galaxy. Taking him to the lower depths of Mortis, the son showed Anakin visions of him becoming Darth Vader and the atrocities he would carry out with that moniker. The sheer violence and unspeakable acts left Anakin in tears and disbelief, but the vision succeeded in turning Anakin to the dark side so that he could use that power to alter the future and end the Clone Wars. However, the father stepped in at the last second and erased Anakin's memory of the visions, which ultimately provided Anakin some years of reprieve and distance from Darth Vader. With all these defining events present throughout Anakin's life, it's clear that Darth Vader was also present, even without the guiding hand of Darth Sidious in Revenge of the Sith.